Sing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers, starring Allo Fiber at number 1, Allo Internet at number 2, no satellite dish required, DirecTV through Allo, and at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Derek Pearson, brought to you by Canopy Street Market.
Monday. Boom. You made it. You made it through the weekend. Congratulations. Now let's get to work. 402-464-5685 is the Starter Heyman text line. You want to be a part of the show, and you do. Hit us up. Give me a what's up. And then we will include you in the show. You can follow on all the live video streams, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo Channel 961. You can download the Ticket app and take us wherever you go, because you want us to be with you. We know that. We fully accept that, and we want to be where you are. Before we introduce new features and new guests, Bach, kind sir, start the week right. Pay the bills. Pay the bills.
Yeah, the show today is sponsored by Hamilton Telecommunications, bringing you the latest quality technology and communication services since 1901. Whether it's residential or business, Hamilton has the answers. Visit hamiltontel.com for more info today.
Thank you, kind sir. Greatly appreciate you for what you do. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I know the coffee tasted better. The sun shone brighter yesterday after a Husker win at home. We're going to add to, as you folks know about me, we constantly effort to add to and to bring different voices, different faces, different theories, more smart people in the room, and folks who can kind of give us all a better idea of how this thing works and why it matters. Let's add to the lineup. And we've been talking about this for a minute, and I'm so glad we finally got together to make it happen. Dalmagro, women's tennis head coach. Kind sir, good morning, and thank you for doing this.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I know it's been a while since last time I was here, and happy to be back. And excited to share a little more about our program. But thank you for all you do. For all us Huskers here in town. So I appreciate you.
Well, it's pretty interesting to me that in a place like Lincoln, Nebraska, University of Nebraska, where the fans want to feel closer and more connected to the programs. And here you are. You have a master's degree in this thing called athletics, right? Like the learning process for you to get here, whether it be love of the sport as a player, development as a coach, then finding your way to Lincoln, Nebraska. So I'll ask you the first part. How did you end up at the University of Nebraska? Why are you a Nebraska Husker?
Speaking of masters, I feel like I'm still in the classroom, like I'm always learning, never stop learning, but I was born in Argentina actually, and I came to the US for college tennis, and I love the environment. I love the just camaraderie, the teamwork. Tennis is pretty individual sport, but once you get into college, it becomes a very team sport, and I love that aspect. So I kind of wanted to be involved in developing and helping and giving back to the sport that gave me so much. And so I started coaching, and then I was an assistant coach at University of Kansas. When the previous coach here gave me a call and asked me if I wanted to be his assistant, and I and didn't really hesitate it, and I took it on and loved my time here. And then I left for a few years, but I left with the idea thinking that it's like I wanted to be a head coach, and I would love to be. I left thinking that I wanted to be back in Lincoln. I just think it's a great city, it's a great school. A really family friendly environment, a place where I feel like my wife and I have 3 kids, and really enjoy being part of the community. And I felt like this is a place where where we can grow, but also a place where I think we can be successful. And I think tennis is not as popular in this part of the country, being an outdoor sport, a little more of a location type of sport. And Florida, Texas, California, that is very popular. Not as much here, but I felt like just the school, the resources that we have, and I think just the community in general, I think we can make it a tennis school, and I think that's kind of what has been my goal, is developing and working and creating a good culture, but also creating a place where no matter where you're from, you can come and this can become your home.
I'm going to ask you to do a thing. I generally ask coaches to give a scouting report on themselves as players. So if you were going to tell folks about Germán, the tennis player, how would you describe yourself?
Gosh, I was a very competitive player. I sometimes hate it losing more than I like winning, to be honest. I'm lefty. I'm left-handed. I have a one-handed backhand, and I serve and volley just about all my life. So I really enjoy the coming to the net and finishing up at the net. And I was a very strategic player. I always like to kind of play the puzzles and play the angles and play the the anticipation and all that. I think I was pretty good at that. I was never the biggest, strongest player, but I was skilled. I have good hands at the net, and I was able to close the angles and move forward. And I think the one thing that I felt I had the advantage of a lot of players is like my competitiveness. I was just always very competitive, and always find ways to win it. Always find ways to win. So yeah.
If that is the case, most coaches tend to recruit better at the players like them. Because you want to coach what you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So do you find yourself identifying those young ladies who
we try? We really try, and sometimes, I like to say that because it's an individual sport, we need to be adaptable. We need to be adaptable to all styles of play. Can't just say, hey, this is what I am, what I like to coach, because there's so many different personalities, different styles of games, and different ways to compete. But I try to identify players that no matter what the style is, that they have that competitiveness in them. They have that fire in them. They have that little belief in them that they will just hustle, they will work hard, and no matter what tools they have in their box, they would just be competitiveness first, and then they will kind of say, okay, what do I have in my toolbox? I think it's, tennis is a sport that you make a lot of mistakes and you can still win. It's one of those few sports that you can actually win just a handful more points than your opponent, and you can make a lot of mistakes and still win. So I think that being competitive and being able to don't hold on to mistakes too long, and just to be in the present, I think it takes you farther than you think. So trying to find that is important. That's why we try to watch our recruits, play just multiple times to make sure that no matter who they play, no matter how they're feeling, they're still finding ways to compete. That's what it takes.
Is the digital recruiting more important now? Because you may not be able to get in front of
Yes.
everybody because your young ladies are all over the world.
All over the world. Exactly,
So how do you handle the recruiting side for tennis?
Yeah, it's tough, because it's really hard to be everywhere, So we try to look at video, but sometimes we get videos or only the highlights, and that doesn't tell the whole story. I always ask recruits to give me the videos of the uncut, give me all of it. Give me the mistakes, give me the losses, give me how you handle between points, give me all of it, because I think we're gonna get all of it, when they get to us. So sometimes they send me a video when I only show about 20 minutes of highlights, and and then I ask this, oh, what's the rest, but because we want to see it all, because we get them all. And then as it's like sometimes it's really hard to break bad habits or old habits or bad attitudes, or it's really hard to break that, or to create new habits. So I want to see it all. So I know what we get in,
How do
we
you
get them here?
You just said a thing that's so unique. Which is more difficult, the bad attitude or the bad habit to break? Because the habit is learned behavior, and then the attitude is accepted behavior. So how do you handle that as a Division I coach?
It's tough, to be honest. I would say the bad attitudes might be a little harder to change. Creating new habits, it's just a matter of consistency and just being always being on them to try to work on that new habit, to replace the old habit, because I think it's harder to fix the old habit, than just creating a new habit and then trying to that become the norm. So we try to create new habits depending what it is, but the attitudes is hard, because they, if they behave one way for 10, 12, 15 years, maybe they play tennis for 10, 12 years before they get to us, right? So they started with 6, 7, 8 years old. So it's hard to create that. So we'll try to watch them when they're losing, watch them when they're practicing, watch them kind of talk to their coaches and families and just get to know them, because a good attitude goes a long ways, especially in a team environment, So
through so much of it, right? And the average fan, and no matter what sport it is, I think the common thing about coaches and athletes, especially in this day and age, is finding the common ground, right? That
absolutely,
the coach, you kind of want them to come to your side of the bridge, and you want them to come willingly, but that the final few steps is going to be brutal. But recruiting for you is not a regional thing. This is international now.
It is.
How many of your players are international players versus American players?
Right now we have 8, and then we're gonna add a couple in the spring. But we have 8. Only 2 are from the U.S. So we have 1 from Georgia, 1 from Texas, and the rest are international. And then we're for the next class, we're going very heavy. The top Americans, we're trying to recruit them early and see if we can land a few. We have had quite a few visits already. We just had a visit, this past weekend, and
hey, Bach, you see the smile on his face when he started to bring that up. That's when you're onto something. That when you have a good visit.
Yeah, it was a really good visit, and we obviously we can't talk too many names or anything, but yeah, she'll be a great addition, and she'll be somebody that could be the second U.S. born recruit in school history. So it will go a long ways. But we'll try. We're going hard on early on these recruits, and trying to get to know us. Our culture and just our resources, because we had quite a few visits that these recruits is the first time ever, in the state of Nebraska, and they know nothing about Nebraska, and then once they get here, they realize that this place is much better than what they heard or what they expected.
Oof.
And I think that's the hardest thing is sometimes getting those top recruits to visit us. They won't, most of the times they don't even respond to you, and then get along to get them on campus. And we have gotten actually quite a few visits that are, they're really good recruits. So, we're working hard. I know it takes time, takes process. It's sometimes slower than I want to, but we've been getting good responses, and I think we're heading in the right direction there. So.
Well, I think and I've said publicly that to make the ticket an extra vehicle, another toy in the utility belt for Nebraska recruiting is to be able to invite these young folks into this, and for them to see you having these conversations, and we can share it on the internet and let folks know that this thing exists. Ramon Dalmagro, women's tennis here at Husker, for the Huskers, and the recruiting process being an international one, but American players now have access to the internet, and they now have access to, hey, what are you doing over there? But then the local and the state and the region, what's it going to take to turn this into a space where women's tennis is vital and vibrant and good?
That's a great question. I think I think it takes, to be honest, it takes a generation. It doesn't just take, a flip of the switch and you just say, hey, because I think we have good coaches in town. We have good people that have the right intentions, that know tennis. The all the pros that work in town at Genesis, Woods, the Country Club, or Wilderness Ridge, and all the tennis pros that we have in all the clubs, they know tennis. They've been around, and they're good. So I think it's just a matter of like young athletes taking on tennis and sticking to tennis, and going to travel to play national tournaments and competing, not just locally or regionally, but the best players in the country are playing everywhere in the country, sometimes in the world. Sometimes the ones from here, maybe they just play more closer to local originals, so they don't, that we have some that travel, but it takes a commitment, not just from those individuals, but I think it's just and I talk to the coaches here in town, and they're great people, great coaches, and I think they're they have the knowledge, they have the resources. Sometimes it's just getting that volume of athletes playing the sport, and then from then developing and then traveling and playing all over the country, and I think it's a commitment. It takes a lot of effort, and I mean, I'm hopeful that it will continue to grow. I mean, I want nothing more than that tennis being keep growing.
It would be nice to be able to recruit in the backyard.
It would be nice
to save you some money and
Yeah.
some time. How many hours a week do you find yourself looking at recruiting tape?
Gosh, I would say every single day, I'm always looking either at tape or tournaments or sending texts or receiving emails, replying emails, or it's reaching out to coaches and circling back to players that they didn't respond to us or talk to us once. And I'm looking at their results, then how they did. If they did well, then, sending them a message, say, hey, good job this weekend, and let's talk again. I mean, I would say 7 days a week, I'm always doing something on recruiting. Sometimes I send a text at 5 a.m., I wake up early. So I send a text at 5 a.m. to a recruit that is overseas. Maybe I just saw the results. I don't think I have not spent one day that I'm not recruiting. It's a constant work, and that's what it takes. I feel like where we are, we got to throw 100 darts to about each recruit, right? And then some schools that throw one dart, then they land that recruit they want. Here we have to hustle a little more, and I'm fine by hustling. So, but it takes work, and I think sometimes it might take one or two that sign with you that everybody else are looking, she's
break
going
them all.
there.
Yep.
And then right now we have one on campus that she's great. She's Colin Ray, she's from Atlanta, Georgia. She transferred from Tennessee to us. She's a sophomore now, so she has 3 years with us. But she's, on paper, she was top 20 in the country. She's the second highest American tennis player we ever had in history. So it's starting to to move the needle, with all their top Americans as well. So people recognizing this, like, oh, why is she got there? She had offers from the best schools in the country, and we built a good relationship, and then she really enjoyed her visit here, and she's here now and loves it, and and then we're hoping that kind of creates a kind of like a domino effect, that keeps.
Is that raising the standard from the top, in that she's good enough to make practice better, to make workouts better?
Absolutely.
Right? Because now you've got a North Star that you can kind of draw people to.
Yeah, and we have some good players, from all the countries too. We have a really good team, but I think it's just to keep raising the standard, and that's kind of what we want. We don't want to, Big Ten is really strong, and we don't want to settle. We want to keep getting better. And I think it starts with just developing, but also recruiting. Recruiting of the best players we can.
When you mentioned the Big Ten Conference, who are the programs that are the North Star? We Bach and I kind of identify top third, middle third, bottom third. Who are the top? Who's in the top third of programs in the Big Ten for women's tennis?
I'll say historically, USC, UCLA are always been good in tennis. That already been in the Big Ten. Ohio State and Michigan are top 5 in the country right now, along with USC, UCLA. They're in the top 10 or so. So we have Wisconsin this past year. They were really good. They're top 25. Really good academic school. They're in tennis is being good academically, recruits as well. But I would say the top 4 schools that have been are Michigan, Ohio State, USC, UCLA. Washington is really good as well. There were 16 in the country last year. But I mean, that's to compete with them. We were last match on, lost 4-3 to at Washington last year, and they were a seed in the NCAA tournament. They're a top 16 seed, and we lost 4-3 last match on. So we were competing really well against them.
What's the bridge now? So what's the next step to get Nebraska women's tennis into that conversation? Some would say development, some would say talent, some would say a bunch of things. I'll ask you, head coach, what do you think the next thing is?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think we're doing a good job of developing our players, and getting to maximize, kind of their potential resources. I think some of our players are playing at a really good level. The rest is trying to maybe get the best players here. So maybe the starting point will be a little higher than kind of what some others were, right? So then you can develop from them, so they become the best. And then just being able to believe, like I believe that we belong there, believe that we belong playing against some of the best players, because we've been very close. Again, you're close to a team that is, top 12, top 15 in the country, and you come down to the last 2 games, and it could be anybody's game. Maybe it's a little bit of belief, maybe it's a little bit of luck. You can't put excuses. You just got to go and do it. You got to go execute it. But, we had a match point last year to beat a team that was 18 in the country. Had a team match point, literally 1 point away, and it's, but, we didn't. So it's just maybe belief, keep obviously, recruiting and getting, trying to get those players that can compete in and out every single weekend, against those teams. And I think we're close. I think we're developing the right way. I think we're doing the right things. We have a really good culture right now in our team. Work ethic is good. I think the competitiveness is good. It's like it's just making little steps. And everybody is making those steps. And yeah, I think it's a little combination of all.
It's a bunch of things. All of those things make up culture. But I'll ask you directly. Ideally, in a perfect situation, you can wave your hand and create the perfect women's tennis culture at Nebraska. From your hands to theirs, what is that? What would that look like?
I think it's a team that first is selfless. That they want to pick each other up. They want to push each other and to help, make each other better. And I think we've been talking a lot about that. It's being like being selfless and being a team that our goal is to push each other, but try to make each other better. They really love each other. They support each other. A team that is like, we're accountable for each other. We're very competitive. We're tough. Our goal is to be the fittest team in the Big Ten. Be a team that would not lose because, we couldn't hang in there. Being a physical team, being a team that is just competitive, that just that doesn't back down, against anybody, but above all, these just being good teammates, I think we've been working hard and trying to recruit players that have those features, that are selfless, that are competitive, but they want to be a part of a team, want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And I think when you surround yourself with people like that, it's easier for each one to be themselves. To be kind of like, hey, this is who I am, so they already bring that to their team. And, and I think that way they can thrive more. I think practices right now are fun. We work hard and, sometimes we're running a lot, we're working hard, but you can see the smiles on their face that hey, I'm enjoying this suffering, I'm enjoying this battle, I'm enjoying this hard day. It's because I'm doing it with my teammates, I'm doing it with the people that I love, and I love my team right now. I think we have great people, that I really enjoy coming to work every day.
It has to be fascinating. There's lots to cover, and you and I have talked. We said really wanted to get Germán on a regular schedule here because one, he will give insight to just coaching. It doesn't have to be coaching tennis or coaching women. It really is coaching and the attitudes, development, all the concepts, and then the business side of it, because now business is a big part of collegiate athletics.
Absolutely.
How it affects coaches. And recent news, we'll talk about, the movement of coaches and the movement of players in the transfer portal. But I'll ask you this before we go to break. I was told that by several coaches that the greatest recruiter are your players, that your players who have competed at national tournaments, international tournaments, they've gotten to know each other. They know who's tough. They know who plays the way they do, who works the way they do, are the best recruiters. What say you to that about athletes recruiting people to your program?
I think it speaks volume because I actually tell my recruits all the time, I was like, hey, it's one thing what I tell you, but I think it's another thing what our players will tell you, how we run things, how we talk to our players, how we treat them. Because I always tell parents and recruits, it's like, hey, we're going to work hard. We're going to challenge you, we're going to do it, but also I'm going to treat you right. It's like, I don't go by wins and losses, no matter you win or lose a match, I'm not going to treat you differently, and I think that goes a long ways with parents because there's plenty of programs that they treat you differently, whether you win or lose, I always tell them it's like, hey, you're going to make mistakes and I'm going to support you. As long as we have the right attitude, the right effort, and we're trying to do the right things, it's like you're gonna be loved here no matter what, And I think it's, but yeah, speaking of that, it's funny. I actually got an email, a text from a recruit not too long ago that she was playing a tournament. It's from the South, and to get really good recruits from the South to come here in tennis, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But I got a text from this recruiter saying, "Hey, I was playing this pro tournament, and one of your players was there." And then she was talking how much she loves Nebraska, and how well how good she's developing, how they treat her there, and all the resources they have, and then just how much she's thriving there. She's like happy playing tennis. And it's like, and I'm looking for a good culture. I'm looking for a program where I can grow, and a place where I'll be supported, and I would have never known that, And then she texted me basically saying like, "Hey, I'm interested in Nebraska. It's because of kind of what your player told me." And she wasn't even selling Nebraska. She was just speaking about her own experience, So I was like, so that kind of, brought a little chills to my body. Kind of say, hey, we're doing it for, we're doing it for the right reasons, and you can kind of tell, So
it's always, and I've made a point to run towards coaches who I thought were handling things in the right way. Those are the coaches I want to add to this station on a regular basis because you can share the stories and the behind the scenes stuff. We'll go to break. When we come back, we were talking, you just mentioned parents. And I think it's twofold, that the message of the parent to the player and then the engagement between the coach and the parent, because mom and dad out there, if you're listening, you can just as much help your child get recruited and you can help your child get hurt in recruiting. And we'll have that discussion about what those things are when we come back to One-on-One.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hungry for something real? Come to HF Crave, Lincoln's favorite spot for burgers that are anything but basic. Locally sourced Nebraska beef, hand-cut fries, and bold flavors that'll make your taste buds cheer.
Mmm.
Whether you're craving the classics or ready to try something wild, they've got the burger that gets you. HF Crave. Fresh, local, craveable. Find them at 48th and Holdridge or order online at hfcrave.com.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all fours and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
You're listening to One-on-One with DP, brought to you by Canopy Street Market on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. One-on-One. Come on, Dalmagro, Husker women's tennis, breaking it down for us. From the text line, awesome interview. Go Huskers. Yep, 3789, thank you. Big Bird says this feels like a DP moment when, because I've been open. Bach will validate and vouch that in changing the face and sound of this radio station, I wanted the listeners to have access to you. It's like Bach is a brilliant guy when it comes to sports, but after a while, Bach can tell you what he can tell you. Bach can't tell you. Bach, how's your first serve?
Not sure.
We can work on that.
Like, that's the mission. Like, we're gonna send Bach down and let Herman work on him and try to get his serve together. But inviting Huskers into conversations with coaches, and that's what the text line is for: is your ability to reach out and ask questions to the coach, because it's a big part of it. And we're talking about parents. And as a high school coach and developing players to prepare them, I had the responsibility of making a version of them that I could hand to Herman and protect my image. Like, I'm not gonna hand you a bad sandwich. Like, I can't do it, because then you're just not gonna answer me. Like, the next time I call you, if I have something good. But also in that I end up spending time coaching parents about the things you can do and the things you cannot do, because coaches, especially at the Power 4 Division I level, they choose talent, and then they decide, is this a parent that I want in my phone texting me every day?
Yeah.
So what is the advice to parents? What is your thinking and your policy when it comes to dealing with parents in the recruiting game?
I'm very open about it. I welcome parents on visits because I want them to see kind of who we are, how we do things, and I always tell them what you see is what you get. Like, I'm pretty transparent, and I tell them what we can do and we cannot do for their for their sons and daughters, and I think it's important, because I don't want a recruit to come here and find out that we're doing things different than what they heard. I want them to be, hey, this is exactly what I'm getting. If they don't come here, it's because we didn't offer something and they don't have, then that's fine. I want them to come here, because they want to be here, and because what they heard is kind of what they believe in, and they feel that we can develop them here. So I welcome parents, and I always tell them, hey, ask me questions, like, find out. But I also try to know them, it's because you're right. Sometimes, I have had a few experiences where the pressure doesn't even come from me, as a coach. It comes from the parents that are watching from far away on a camera, and they're sometimes, we have some of our players or former players, on the phone after a match, and they're talking hours with the parents, and the parents are yelling at them, like, why you didn't do this, you didn't do that on the court, and they might know nothing about tennis. Sometimes they do, but I think my advice for parents is, if your daughters or sons are already out of college, let the coaches coach them, and then you just be a parent, be a supportive parent, love them for who they are, and wins and losses. I always try to tell them, is like, hey, the only thing sometimes I get really upset is either a lack of effort or of a bad attitude. Like, let the loss be because they're just better than you and they executed better than you that day, but not because of a bad attitude or a lack of effort. That's just the only thing I think sometimes I see players get in trouble. But I think parents need to try to separate themselves as much as possible, and let the coaches coach, and let them just be the parents. Just love them for who they are, like, without judgment, whether they win or lose, that day. I think sometimes parents, many parents are very loving and caring, but sometimes players don't quite reach their potential is because of the peer pressure they get from home. The rise home, the calls from parents after matches, and sometimes it's sad to see it, but I always feel I tell parents I'm welcome, and I'd rather them talk to me than talk to their
and put that negativity
exactly.
on the.
I say that I say, hey, if they come to me, I was like, please talk to me, about the match, and then I can relate that, or you can relate some of it, but I don't want your pressure come from you. That they just want you to be the mom and dad. They don't. They're. So it's important. So yeah.
That goes on the Mount Rushmore of things. That there are times when your student athlete just wants you to be mom or dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
I talk to them about it, and sometimes I just, I try to put the fire out. Say, hey, I'm sure they care about you. They want you to do the best, which in most of the cases are. They want them to do well, but But I tell them, it's like, hey, tell your mom and dad to call me. He said, tell them, I always say that. I said, tell your mom and dad to call me. I'll be happy to talk to them about how you're doing, how you're working, what things you're doing. They only see maybe a match, a week on the, on live streaming, right? But they don't see the day to day. Maybe they don't see, they don't hear from them in a different angle. So I always welcome the conversations. I'd rather have those tough conversations, but maybe they support their, their daughters more than having them have the pressure come from the parents.
From the text line says, have you had much experience with parent coaches? Now, you just disclosed during the break, your dad was a coach, right? So having that, but in your dealings with parent coaches, what's the rule and thinking?
I welcome, like I say earlier, I'm always a learner too, so there are plenty good, really good coaches out there, and really good coaches that have daughters. We just had a visit a few weeks ago from a coach that is a very good coach, has a really good academy in South Carolina, and then their daughter came with him, and he was very happily surprised in how we run things, or how I do my philosophy as a coach, and and I respect him a lot. So I actually asked him a bunch of things, about that, and we talk about his daughter, kind of what she needs to work on, what she needs to get better, so things that she doesn't want to listen to the dad because it's a coach, right? I experienced that with my dad. Once I mature enough, I realized how good my dad is, and then sometimes some of these younger, kids go through it the same. They think that the parents don't know much, and my dad, knows a lot about tennis, and they realize. So sometimes we were discussing on like, kind of like that communication between being a dad and a coach, and it's a tough balance. I think it's a tough balance. I dealt with it personally, and I was a very hard-headed kid when I was young, and I realized before going to college, I realized kind of like, oh man, I should have just listened to you more when I was 13, 14, but I was fighting more than listening, and then I realized, and I sometimes I try to relate that to the players that are, their parents are coaches, and if those coaches are really good, which I think a lot of them are, and then I was like, hey, just maybe his side is good too, like listen to it, be open to it, don't look to just fight all the time, So,
from our dear friend Pete Ferguson says, thank you, coach. Thank you for speaking the truth. Love them for who they are. And that's not even niche cool now, right? Because now it's win now. It's win now, be the best now. And there's a lot of conversation over softness and toughness. I happen to think that today's college athlete is much tougher than previous ilks of this thing because they have so much more to deal with.
We talk about it, so many distractions, right? Social media, NILs, or different, I think there's a lot more eyes on them than ever. So I think they feel the pressure too, and I always say this, like, I want to win too. I want to win a lot. I'm very competitive and I want to win, but I think you can win, you can be competitive, but you can also be kind. You can be competitive and want to, challenge your players and want to work hard and want to get the best, but we're still treating them the right way, and still trying to like trust the process and let them learn and let them go through it. And obviously I want to win and I want to do well, but I also want to treat them the right way, and I want them to make sure they're developing and working, and I want them to leave Nebraska, better people, not just better tennis players, but better people, that what they came, So I think it's a combination of things, how you treat them, how we develop, how we work, the things we do daily, I think it's like, yeah, they feel the pressure too, I think it's like they win now, they feel it too without you saying it, without you putting much. You don't. I try not to talk about wins and losses, and like what I win here, what I win now. I try not to talk to because that's unnecessary pressure they need. It's like I'll take on that pressure. But we just try to work hard every day. And just like do the right thing, but be competitive, but at the same time be kind. Like you can treat each other well, you can support each other, you can challenge each other, but knowing that the end goal is like. I always said our end goal is to lift each other up and try to make each other better, So
That, I mean, in the full leadership aspect of it, it helps identify the coach and the program, and people misidentify what culture is. Because for me, those philosophies that you talk about, how you do the small things will tell you what the result. The big result is the accumulation of all the small things.
Yes.
Right. And so your rules of engagement, your rules for who you're seeking to be a part of the program, and then how you set up practice and conversation. That's culture. We see it on Saturday, but the reality is the culture is what happens before the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of what we do daily, it's trying to be consistent. I always say this is like they know what they're getting when I show up to practice. I try to be consistent in who I am every day. And I think they need to see that I'm consistent in my habits, the way I talk to them. I always show up with a smile, no matter how tough the day is. Try to show the smile, how they're doing. And then we can work hard. But I think they need to see a consistent face every day. And I think somebody that is not going to judge them as much, but also going to support them, but challenge them. We work hard. We want to work hard, and we want to get the best of them. We want to. But I think being consistent is one of them, and creating good habits. And then we talk about it a lot for them to create good habits for themselves and trying to work hard and be consistent, because it doesn't, one of our sayings right now is win the day, and then stack good days, so how do we put good days together, to build a good foundation? Because our goal as a team is to raise our floor up. So making sure that if we're not playing your best, sometimes you don't rise up to the occasion as much as you fall down to kind of what your preparation is or your floor is, right? So we're trying to build our floor up to making sure our average is better than normal. Because that's what you do daily. You're gonna play, especially in tennis, like you're gonna play with your average tennis more days than you play with your best tennis. So what your average is
that's who you are.
Who you are.
That's who you are.
That's who you are. Right?
This community just literally their skin started to move, because when you talk about all the other sports, that is a statement of truth. That
it truly is.
You are more your average than the great days or bad days.
Absolutely.
But it's how many conversations have we had about other sports that, quite frankly, the things you do all the time is who you are. It just is. We'll go to break. One final segment coming up. Herman Dalmagro, Husker Women's Tennis here on One on One.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One on One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in season? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Imagine starting your day with a computer glitch that leaves you feeling stuck, frustrated, and unable to get your work done. You have 1,000,001 things to get done today, and waiting for the tech issue to solve itself isn't one of them. It's time to let Hamilton handle the tech so you don't have to. We help businesses across the state spend more time on what they do best and less time frustrated with office technology. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we're focused on providing custom solutions that set you up for success now and in the future. Connect with us today at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Bonsall Pool and Spa's annual Spooktacular sale is here. Now through November 1st, get an extra $1,000 off hot tubs at an already low sale price and get $500 off the already low sale prices on infrared and traditional saunas. All hot tub water care products and accessories are also for sale for the Spooktacular sale now through November 1st at Bonsall Pool and Spa at 33rd and Highway 2. Call for more info at 402-488-0148 or visit bonsallpool.com. Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting lincolnteammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
You're listening to One-on-One with DP, brought to you by Canopy Street Market on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, my goodness gracious. The song. I don't know if they've ever done that, Dennis, to have anybody paint their face before a match. Just take the tennis court just running around. A little Ultimate Warrior action in Husker women's tennis might not be a bad entertainment value.
We can start something.
I don't want that. I don't want that phone call. I don't want your ass.
They have to wipe the sweat off their face.
Yeah,
Might not look as pretty, but
yeah, it's
anything that'll get us the edge. I'll do it.
It is. It's a big week for you in the tennis program. Let the folks know what's happening. You've got a big tournament next week.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we have a Lincoln Pro Women's Tennis Open. You can look it up at the Instagram or Facebook. You can be involved, a sponsor, partner, or a volunteer. There's information there. I think it's we're hosting at the tennis courts, and I think it's an opportunity to. It's called a W15 Lincoln Pro Women's Tennis Open. It's kind of on the lower tier on the professional level tournament, and I think it's you know, the idea of trying to get some of the best players in the country, in the world, to come to play to Lincoln and see our facility, our town, our city, and our community, you know. And I think it's when we're looking at thinking outside the box and thinking it's like, oh, how can we get some of the best recruits in the country that maybe don't want to come to visit you, but they'll come to play your tournament.
Well, they'll see it. They also see it on the
know?
stream. Like, you'll follow if they're following pro tennis players.
Yeah, absolutely. So I seen plenty of players around the country or always circling, hey, I'm going to play the W15 in Lincoln. And I think in November, I think it's important, you know. So with the help, you know, the sponsors of the community and the people that are running the event, you know, that has really done a good job. And I think the key is to I want to be known as a women's tennis school as well, you know. And I think we're very well known for quite a few sports, you know, and we're working hard here to make sure that we're also known as a tennis school, you know. And I think it's trying to bring I know the men's tennis has done a great job, you know, on their challenger and raising their level too. And I think we're trying to do the same things, you know, trying to raise the level and bring more awareness that, hey, we have a great facility in town, but also I think the people will get behind tennis, you know, and trying to create that awareness that, you know, we want those best recruits not to go to North Carolina, Duke, you know, Texas. We want them to come to Nebraska. And I think developmental side, I think we offer the same things, you know. The culture is really good. And I think the resources that we have here, I think and I tell this to everybody out there, I don't think there's one resource that we don't have that some of the best programs have. So yeah, we're bringing that. It starts November 3rd to the 9th. Matches, I think, start Monday at 10 a.m. and they kind of go throughout the day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there'll be matches starting at 5 p.m. So there'll be night matches. And some of these players are, the best players in the country. And some of them are, going to play professional. They're already playing professional. They're ranked 300, 400 WTA. And maybe in a few years, they'll be top 100. They'll play in Grand Slams. And so it's good. It's free entry. You don't need a ticket. You can come in anytime you want. Watch really good tennis. And come get behind our, show these players that our tennis community is big and, some really good tennis indoors. So no matter what the weather is, you can come watch some tennis.
That was the big question: was indoors or out? Because
indoor tennis.
Yeah. And there are 6 courts inside or 8?
6 courts inside. We have 6 indoor courts. I think we only use 4 for competition. The other 2 are for practice, but there'll be matches going on, pretty much from 10 a.m., all the way to maybe 7, 8 p.m. Especially on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll have 9 matches. So people can come watch, after hours. And, the USTA, Missouri Valley's, put in some activities as well, I think a lot of that information will be on Facebook, on the Lincoln Pro Women Tennis Open, and on Instagram as well, Lincoln Pro Women's Tennis Open. So.
Coach, thank you for doing this. And again, we're going to book you for next week because, quite frankly, we need more. I forgot my disclaimer that there's 0 chance I can get to everything I wanted to get through in an hour with you. But to support the event and another chance to come back and promote the event, promote your young ladies, and let folks know about this incredible program and what you're doing.
Well, no, thank you. No, thank you for having, and thank you for just being another voice, an extension of our athletics, and supporting, women's tennis, but, the Huskers in general. I really appreciate your support and your love for anything Huskers.
Amen. You just said a light right there. Don't go anywhere. Adam Carricker, the big guy, strolls in here. He'll take you to 1 o'clock, then Bach in the black shirt and old school. It's a full day here on The Ticket.
Imagine starting your day with a computer glitch that leaves you feeling stuck, frustrated, and unable to get your work done. You have 1,000,001 things to get